tools used for the assessment of stuttering and cluttering are the Fluency Charting Grid, the assessment of associated motor behaviors, the Modified S-Scale, the Parental Speech Chart, the assessment of physiological factors associated with stuttering, and the Adolescent Communication Questionnaire. Case history. Penny is a 9-year-old girl who has been referred to the speech clinic by her mom after her 3rd grade teachers showed concern for her fluency issues in the classroom. Her mom first noticed a slight disfluency in Penny's speech 6 months prior to the evaluation and has mentioned it has been getting progressively worse. Penny's family also has a history of stuttering. The Fluency Charting Grid is a tool used to keep track of the different types of disfluencies present. The major categories of disfluencies include no disfluency, repetition, prolongation, interjection, silent pause, broken word, incomplete phrase, and revision. This is an example of a Fluency Charting Grid. After the clinician has recorded a speech sample, they can use the Fluency Charting Grid to make an appropriate mark in each square for every word uttered using the suggested symbols to indicate which type of disfluency is present. Calculating the disfluency index. Using the Fluency Charting Grid, the clinician calculates the total number of words in the sample. The clinician then counts the number of disfluencies in each of the major categories and finds the total number of disfluency, and then calculates the disfluency index. For example, if in a 500-word sample there were 75 repetitions, 50 pauses, and 25 sound prolongations, this yields a total of 150 disfluencies. To calculate the disfluency index, the total number of disfluencies is divided by the total number of words in the sample. This number is then multiplied by 100 to get the total disfluency index percentage. Separate indexes can also be determined for individual disfluency types. For example, to calculate the total repetitions index, the total number of repetitions is divided by the total number of words in the sample and then multiplied by 100 to get the percentage of total repetitions index. This is an example of a form used to calculate the disfluency index. Using this form, the findings from the Fluency Charting Grid are transferred to the appropriate blanks below to determine the total disfluency index. With the assessment of associated motor behaviors, the clinician makes tally of the different motor behaviors that the client shows during disfluency. The left column allows the clinician to keep a tally, while the right column allows for comments. The clinician is looking for things such as blinking, head shaking, nose wrinkling, finger tapping, or lip pursing. This is an example of an associated motor behaviors form. Hi Penny, I'm just going to let you read this story here, and I'm going to have you read the first couple pages here, and I'll tell you when to stop. Just keep reading and I'll tell you when to stop. And as you're reading, I'm just going to watch what you're doing, listening, and you can go ahead.
Okay. Ramona Quimby hoped her parents would forget to give her a little talking to. She did not want anything to spoil this exciting day. Haha, I get to ride the bus to school all by myself, Ramona bragged to her big sister, Beatrice, at breakfast. Her stomach felt quivery with excitement at the day ahead, a day that would begin with a bus ride just the right length to make her feel a long way from home, but not long enough, she hoped, to make her feel carsick. Ramona was going to ride the bus because changes had been made in the schools in the Quimby's part of the city during the summer. Glenwood, the girls' old school, had become an intermediate school, which meant Ramona had to go to a Siddharthist primary school. Haha yourself, Beezus was too excited to be annoyed with her little sister. Today I start high school. Junior high school, corrected Ramona, who was not going to let her sister get away with acting older than she really was. Rosemont Junior High is not the same as high school, and besides, you have to walk. Ramona had reached the age of demanding accuracy from everyone, even herself. All summer, whenever a grown-up asked what grade she was in, she felt as if she were fibbing when she answered third, because she had not actually started the third grade. Still, she could not say she was in the second grade, since she had finished that grade last June. Grown-ups did not understand that summers were free from grades. "Ha-ha to both of you," said Mr. Quimby, as he carried his breakfast dishes into the kitchen. "You're not the only ones going to school today." Yesterday had been his last day working at the checkout counter of the ShopRite market. Today he was returning to college to become what he called a real live school teacher. He was also going to work one day a week in the frozen food warehouse of the chain of ShopRite's markets to help the family squeak by, as the grown-ups put it, until he finished his schooling. "Ha-ha to all of you if you don't hurry up," said Mrs. Quimby as she swished suds into the dishpan. She stood back from the sink so she would not spatter the white uniform she wore in the doctor's office where she worked as a receptionist.
Good job. Thank you. The modified S scale is a true or false evaluation. In this evaluation, the clinician says a statement to the client and asks the client if it is generally true for them or false. For example, the clinician would say, "I usually feel that I am making a favorable impression when I talk." The client would then say whether this was true or false for them. If the client didn't understand the statement, the clinician could reword it for the client. This is an example of the modified S scale form. Okay, great job, Penny. So next we're going to do this little questionnaire. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. If the statement is something that you think is true to your own life, just answer with true. And if you think it's false and you don't really think that's happened for you or how you feel, then just answer with false. And if you don't understand any of the questions, just let me know. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. So the first one is, I usually feel that I am making a favorable impression when I talk. What do you think?
False.
I find it easy to talk with almost anyone.
False.
Okay. I find it very easy to look at my audience while talking in a group.
False.
A person who is my teacher or my boss is hard to talk to.
True.
Even the idea of giving a talk in public makes me afraid.
True.
Some words are harder than others for me to say.
True.
I forget all about myself shortly after I begin to give a speech.
False.
I am a good mixer.
False.
People sometimes seem uncomfortable when I'm talking to them.
True.
I dislike introducing one person to another.
True.
I often ask questions in group discussions.
False.
I find it easy to keep control of my voice when speaking.
False.
I do not mind speaking before a group.
False.
I do not talk well enough to do the kind of work I'd really like to do.
True.
My speaking voice is rather pleasant and easy to listen to.
False.
I am sometimes embarrassed by the way I talk.
True.
I face most speaking situations with complete confidence.
False.
There are few people I can talk with easily.
False.
I talk better than I write.
False.
I often feel nervous while talking.
True.
I often find it hard to talk when I meet new people.
True.
I feel pretty confident about my speaking abilities.
False.
I wish I could say things as clearly as others do.
True.
Even though I knew the right answer, I have often failed to give it because I'm afraid to speak out.
True.
All right, great, we're all done. Good job. The parental speech chart is a chart that the clinician can give to the client's caregiver to fill out throughout the week when the client does not have therapy, as a way to track the client's disfluencies. This chart consists of 6 separate columns in which the parent or caregiver can fill in information such as the date and time of the disfluency, the type of disfluency, and the reaction to the disfluency. This is an example of a parental speech chart. Hi, Mrs. Smith. I'm just going to give you a sheet that you can take home with you to monitor Penny's disfluencies over the next week, and then you can bring it back on her next appointment.
Okay.
But it gives some directions here at the top, but for the most part you're just going to note the date and time that you kind of notice the disfluency, the type of difficulty with sounds or words or prolongations that she's having.
Alright.
Was there any tension or struggle? And then her reaction to the disfluency, and was she aware of it, what the topic of conversation was, and then who was she talking to, and what did the other person do in reaction to this disfluency, and then did you notice anything that preceded the disfluency. So this is just going to help us to track Penny's disfluency and see if there's any causes to it.
Okay.